Hello to all the brothers. Well, the ninth part of the recap. You are unrealistically cool, thank you for your support, despite the mistakes in the last video. Everything is clear in this, so be sure to support him and enjoy watching. It was the dead of night outside, there was a huge moon in the sky, as well as another small planet next to it. There was only the patter of feet all around, as if a huge beast, no less than a mammoth, was running where, but no, it was me and my legs, from which waves and cracks were spreading on the ground. I ran as fast as I could, holding a spear in my left hand. Thanks to the increase in strength earlier, my speed has also increased, which is strange. Skirting the obstacles around, in the form of trees and hills, I actively reasoned in my head. Even knowing the location of all the traps and having 2 dexterity points, it's 5 minutes from here to South Mountain. It remains only to pray that nothing happens during these 5 minutes. I ran to the signal tower where the fire was burning. Everyone understood that something had happened in this direction. My subordinate, wearing a wolf hat, stood on a tower with 2 spears in his hands and looked into the distance of the mountains, seeing smoke rising into the sky. Watching everything, he thought. The trap worked very close to the tribe. Had the enemies penetrated that deep? In a panic, he reasoned over what could have happened. The next moment, pushing off from the tower, he jumped into the distance, continuing to think. Maybe there are other enemies who noticed the fire. Maybe they're coming here to kill me. Suddenly he realized that's why he decided to run away from this place. It's better to overdo it than underdo it. He spoke while already in the air, looking like a night monster or Batman. Landing on the ground below, without breaking anything, which is surprising, the boy squatted down. Literally the next moment, he noticed something in the greenery to his left. They set up an ambush. He thought, making a serious face and preparing for an attack. Throwing a spear into the nearest bushes at great speed, he shouted. Don't make so much noise if you make a surprise attack. After waiting a few seconds, after the spear should have already hit the target, nothing happened. He stood there, watching and waiting for the attack. Suddenly, from the same bush where he had thrown the spear earlier, the same spear flew out at him, only its speed was even greater. Fortunately, the boy was ready for this. He deftly deflected the flying spear with another one that was in his left hand. But the enemy took advantage of this situation, already being above him, ready to attack. So fast? Only the boy managed to realize. Covering his head with a spear, realizing that he had no chance to dodge or repel the attack, he just hoped for the best. Suddenly, continuing to stand in the same position, an axe stopped a centimeter away from him, and my voice sounded. A gun? I stood over him, not understanding what was happening and why the boy was attacking me. Your Majesty? Why are you here? He asked me, looking at my uncomprehending face. There's no time to explain. Do you know where the trap went off? Without hesitating, I asked, realizing that the enemy might already be close. Yes, I lit the signal tower. The triggered trap is ahead. He pointed his finger into the distance. I didn't hesitate, even though it was scary and I was shaking, but I tried not to show it. It's lucky that you and I met. I'll go first. I said and bent down to feed my legs with strength before the race. Already on the run, I shouted. Wait for those who come by a safe path and take them to me. A gun responded positively, encouraged by my appearance. And before he forgot, he decided to warn me. Perhaps the enemy is not alone, be careful. He shouted after me, looking only at my retreating back. The night was still outside, but it seemed like the sun was starting to shine even brighter. On one of the trees, someone got caught in our trap and hung on it, trying to get free. It was difficult to tell who it was, since only a silhouette that strongly resembled a person was visible. Looking out from behind a nearby tree, I stood and thought about what to do, but in any case I was alert to attack if the enemy could get free. I don't feel the presence of other people. And this dead silence. Doesn't look like a trapped animal. I was assessing the situation. That man is not calling for help, did he come here alone? Or is he already dead? Sighing heavily and deciding to take action. The next moment I came out from behind a tree, ready for anything, thinking. We'll see. What? I exclaimed, being at a loss from what I saw. Xiao Wang? What are you doing here? I asked, surprised to see a girl hanging on ropes, revealing her flower to the whole world. Are you supposed to be healing wounds here? I immediately asked, literally screaming in panic. You. The girl started hesitating a little and sweating. How much longer are you going to stare? She shouted angrily, but a blush was present on her cheeks. I relaxed and smiled, saying with a chuckle. Queen, you don't often see such a picture, do you? But apparently my positive attitude didn't calm the girl down much. "Chen Li. I'm going to kill you." She continued to scream angrily, floundering and trying to free herself. I came closer to her and said in a calm tone, "I'll use your little leg, haha." The girl was only even more embarrassed by this and trembling, begged, You. Let go." I wasn't going to stop. Taking more air into my lungs, I blew her beautiful leg with cold air and began to bring my finger closer, which caused the girl to hiccup. Literally a second later, I already started to tickle her. And the next moment, the girl gave out a long moan that will excite any man. But, gathering her thoughts, she pulled herself together again and continued to scream. "Chen Li. I'm angry. Let me go, now." But her scream only caused me to laugh even more, and without hesitating, I continued to look at her charms. Hahaha. Okay. After all, I resigned myself. Suddenly, a sound from the bushes behind caught my attention. "The king must be ahead, hurry up." A gun shouted. Besides me, the girl also heard the scream and became even more angry. "If anyone sees this scene, I will kill everyone." Restraining my laughter through tears, I said, "I'll let you go." Then he began to untie the rope on the tree, shouting to his subordinates, "Don't come here. It's very dangerous here. You could be killed." My subordinates naturally heard my cry and stopped abruptly, not understanding anything. Shigu decided to tell the others by asking a question. "Has the king fallen into a trap? Should I hurry up and save him?" Agun decided to take the floor by answering his question. "Judging by the voice, it's really dangerous there. But he doesn't seem to be hurt. Is there something there that we shouldn't see?" I decided to ask my question, and by the way, the right question, because there was something here that they should not have seen. I understood. The king is definitely sitting big. For example, I can't poop in front of everyone. I definitely need to be alone. Girls are like that too. When they bathe or go to the toilet, they always avoid us. With the most stupid face, Shigu said, which confused Agun a little. Everyone seems to have changed a little, I don't know myself. I came to the logical conclusion of the tire. The next moment, my queen's wonderful legs landed on the ground. I kept laughing, trying not to start laughing all over the neighborhood. It's my fault that I forgot to inform everyone about traps and safe roads. I said, taking all the blame on myself, but the girl only snorted contemptuously. After that, she moved a little away from what was happening and said, "I didn't expect you to know so many amazing tricks." The queen praised me, already forgetting that just a second ago I was looking at her flower. My fault. "By the way, why did you come here in the middle of the night?" I couldn't help but ask, standing next to her, admiring the beautiful view. In the evening I heard a conversation between people from the Sea tribe. She began, making sure that I was listening to her and continued. "Hey. One fisherman was addressing another. It would be great if you could go back to the beach and catch some fish, shrimp and shellfish. If they were eaten, there would be more energy for work." He was talking. Listening to the queen's explanation, a question popped into my head. More energy? Probably because of the salt content in these products. I thought and continued listening to the girl's story. Then the second fisherman began to speak. "But on the way to the beach, you can meet a pack of jackals. You can't go fishing at the risk of being eaten." I finished talking about the dialogue of the monsters from the Sea tribe of the queen and summed it up. So I decided to find a new safe road. After listening to her, I decided to take the floor. I have walked that road many times, and 5 days ago there were no jackals there. It seems that someone from the Sea tribe has secretly escaped in the last few days. I said, surprising the girl that she misunderstood me by asking, "Are they in trouble? Execute them?" She offered, but I just looked at her sweetly. No, that's not what I meant. I was thinking about a security vulnerability that I hadn't paid attention to before. Perhaps I should organize a patrol. I explained to her, also answering important questions for myself. But it is still important to open the road to the beach, and it is best to create a new camp there. I decided to let the girl into my plans, starting to explain the advantages of this. Fishing is still in the background, but we need dodo birds and their eggs. Besides, it is possible to establish a salt industry. It's decided. At dawn I'll go and deal with these impudent jackals. I finished summing up for a girl who, listening to my words, was more and more surprised. The girl did not ask unnecessary questions and simply offered her help. "I can help you with patrol and secret missions. About getting rid of jackals and expanding territories. It's better to think it over again," she said, and it was obvious that she was worried. "What? Are you worried that I can't handle wild animals? I asked, trying to show off in front of the girl. Suddenly she hit me on the forehead and said, "Don't flatter yourself." And I was just surprised by such an action, having a little laugh. I'm worried that I'm separating people too recklessly to guard two territories. She betrayed her fears. I started massaging her shoulders while continuing to listen. Moreover, once the beach was already attacked by a mountain tribe. In case they come again. But without listening to her further, I just interrupted. They were there a few days ago, so I think it's still safe there now. I tried to explain that everything is not as scary as she thinks, continuing. The location of the mountain tribe, our camp and the beach form a triangle. As long as there is an exchange of information and resources between the tribe and the stronghold on the shore, we will be able to support each other. After all, the opponents know how to use poisonous smoke. If we all live together, it will be easy to poison us all at once. The girl had already completely relaxed from my massage, and there was a feeling as if she wasn't listening to me at all and answered if only I would fall behind. I don't know what you're talking about. But since everything has been decided, then let's do this. While the queen and I enjoyed each other's presence, our people continued to sit behind the bushes, waiting for news from me. Has he finished pooping yet? The king is a bottomless barrel. Shigu said while a gun was already asleep, while the big man himself was falling asleep. The moon was already much higher than before and towered over the mountains. I found the two fishermen the queen was talking about to take them with me and lead them along the path they were talking about. I told you. One of them started examining all the bushes. Are you sure you met jackals on this road? Why can't I smell blood? He asked his friend, to which he replied. I saw. They must be somewhere nearby. I saw some jackals on this road 2 days ago. Suddenly, from the bushes in front of them, a strange sound was heard, which the fisherman noticed. Literally the next second, a jackal flew out of the bushes, with red eyes and big fangs, ready to tear the fisherman, who fell on his ass from fright and screamed. Before the jackal's fangs bit into the fisherman, his friend stood up and sent his fist into the animal's head, saying, "He's so brave." Since the jackal was in motion, the fisherman hit the stomach, but the blow was so strong that the jackal only whined and flew far away. Until he crashed into the nearest tree, breaking it in half. The fisherman only growled angrily after the blow, and his friend was at a loss. The next moment, more than 4 jackals surrounded me and the group, threatening to attack from all sides. Everyone was on the alert and Liu Tang decided to warn. "Your Majesty, be careful." But I exuded incredible self-confidence as I spoke. "Don't worry, the Sea tribe is not our enemy. As for those wild dogs." I started, but was interrupted. "King Chen Li, if you want, you can deal with the cuties on the left." Crunching his knuckles, the boss of the Sea tribe declared, ready for a good fight. "But the ones on the right are mine." He confidently declared, already ready to repel the jackals who jumped on him. I, on the other hand, didn't even budge like the others, watching as the boss of the Sea tribe crumbles the animals into pieces. "It's nothing," I said with a laugh. But the next moment, a group of jackals jumped on us too, apparently waiting for death. Because the next moment, the fisherman in front of me just beat them off, allowing me not to move from my place. I will not join the battle, now is a good opportunity to train new recruits. I thought, looking at my subordinates. And while I was thinking and rejoicing at such strong men in my team, a jackal jumped on me from behind. I just angrily sked. After that, he simply put out his hand, grabbing the jackal by the neck, so that he even began to suffocate. The jackal's eyes were begging for mercy. "You're not lucky. He bumped into me once," I said, looking into the eyes of the beast, showing my superiority. For the next few minutes, the sound of fighting and the squeaking of jackals could be heard in the forest. While the jackals started to run away, we have already started to rest. The boss of the Sea tribe threw the last jackal into the distance and angrily said, "Boring. Okay, we need to move on." I told him calmly. The boss decided to remind them that their old house was further down the road, and I reminded them. "Okay, everyone be careful." A few minutes later, we were already at the shore. "See that rock?" I asked the boss of the Sea tribe, and without waiting for an answer, I continued. "We'll build a fortress there. The fortress should be built close to the rock. We need to accommodate 20 people there. The signal tower will be built on a rock. After that, you will need to build a small place for drying salt next to the fortress. I will teach you this method." "Very well, Your Majesty." The boss of the Sea tribe calmly replied. "I will send people to help you. But you only have 4 days." I gave the deadline to the boss. Then I sighed heavily as strange thoughts came into my head. Why do I feel like I'm a contractor who inspects a construction site and shifts deadlines? But in a previous life, I was the one who dragged bricks, hahaha. Having finished thinking, I decided to summarize. Well, if there is an emergency, immediately light a fire and ask for help from the camp. Don't worry, boss. 3 days later. It was bright and hot outside. The village was quiet. In my house, I was evaluating the bow I made. Not bad. I thought, releasing the bowstring, which quickly returned to its place. Suddenly, a message from the system flashed in front of me. You have successfully invented wooden bow. Technology points received. 5 points. After reading the message and evaluating the bow externally, I said. An elastic band made of bullskin is really good, but to use it skillfully, you need to put a lot of effort. In addition, our wood has poor strength, so you will need to find a good replacement. Suddenly, a voice came from behind the door to my room. King, Xiong is back, he wants to tell you something. Without moving, I said. Bring him, Ayu. The door opened. I started talking. So what? Are there other tribes of people in the north that you can unite with? Ayu did not wait for a long time and immediately began to answer. I walked north for more than a day, but there were no tracks there. I found only one lake, as well as a nearby snow-covered mountain. There was some strange big creature in the lake. But before I could see it, it sank to the bottom of the lake and disappeared. Due to the fact that there was a terrible snow-covered mountain ahead, I did not dare to go there and returned back. I made a slight smile and answered the boy. Nothing, you're good. But I didn't expect that you wouldn't be afraid of a water monster, but of a snowy mountain. Putting my hand on his shoulder, I felt the boy shaking. These mountains are so scary. He said and continued. Your Majesty, you haven't heard of this, have you? Sweating, he asked, scaring me too. About this? About what? Suddenly, a girl snuggled up to me, saying. King. I'm scared. Apparently, Xiong scared everyone present. What are you so scared of? I asked her, becoming more serious, because it's all for a reason. I am not afraid of the snowy mountain, but of those who are behind it. Trembling, she replied and began to tremble even more, saying only one word. The giant. Well, don't be afraid. I tried to calm the lovely lady down, but Ayu continued to panic. When I think about it, my legs start to shake. Suddenly, a message from the system popped up in front of my face. A side quest has been activated. Giant. Current mission progress. The first ring. Task. To see a giant with your own eyes. Time. Unlimited. Reward. Performance points 1. I immediately wondered if I should accept this assignment. Looking at the award, I was surprised. What? 1 point of characterization for just seeing a giant? I only got 2 points for the task of expelling the saber-toothed tiger. The giant is just a guy a little taller than me. If I look at it from afar, it won't be dangerous, right? We need to think about it. What if the giants are also a tribe with a civilization? Maybe I can subdue them by making some powerful helpers. Of course, you need to be careful. Otherwise they will destroy us. I thought, looking at how my people panic at the very thought of a giant. After that, I started issuing instructions. It looks like I won't be able to hand over this mission to Xiong and I. Xiong, have a good rest, there will be a banquet in a few days, have fun there. I said confidently, looking at the trembling and sweating guy. Goodbye, Your Majesty. Turning around and starting to leave, Xiong said. Aya, left alone with me, started talking. Xiong. Sometimes he's such a coward, don't pay attention. But after hearing her statement, I replied. I'm not sure he's a coward. Perhaps his perception of danger is much higher than that of ordinary people, which makes him so sensitive to some things. So Xiong is able to freely explore the outside world and can always protect himself. By the way, how are the preparations for my wedding ceremony going? At the end, I asked, making the girl think. The preparation is almost complete. She replied with a smile. Prepare equipment for 4 people, I'm going to take someone with me on a long trip. I quickly translated the topic. Will you personally go? How dangerous is it? She asked me. Just exploring the neighborhood, don't worry. Prepare a portable meal, a bottle of water and warm clothes. Speaking of which, these thin clothes are really good. At the end, I pulled on a t-shirt on myself. Yes. It was you who inspired us to do this. Previously, the skin was useless, but now it is not. By the way, when are you going to leave? She asked, waiting for my answer. The wedding ceremony will take place the day after tomorrow at noon, and we will leave the next day after the banquet. I answered, leaving the house. In 2 days. Nothing had changed in the village, it was still quiet and peaceful. Only I, being at home, trained to handle the shield. Oh, not bad. The leather of hard rocks is combined with the inner part of cowhide, and the weight of the shield is just right. After 2 days of hard work, I finally achieved something. Putting the shield against a wall, I looked at the message from the system. You have successfully invented a new artifact. A wooden shield. Current technology points. 62. Finally finished so that everyone could get a new weapon as soon as possible. I spoke, looking at all my inventions lying on the floor. Suddenly there was a knock on the door and without moving I said, "Come in." Aya opened the door and immediately declared, "Your Majesty, everything is ready outside, it's time to change." "Oh, thank you." I answered with a smile. Having already changed my clothes and started to leave my house, I heard screams. Hooray! Congratulations to the king. People in the village shouted while I was leaving the house, and a gun and shigu sprinkled me with flower petals. Hooray! Congratulations to the king. Hooray! Everyone kept shouting while I was standing in a beautiful raincoat made of leather, as well as with fur. Looking into the distance, along the path that I will now walk, I saw the queen, in a beautiful dress. The best dress that could be made in the current conditions, and all the people of the village were standing around by the path. My thoughts were active. The wedding ceremony. Isn't this a wedding ceremony? In my previous life. I should be working hard right now. Now I have my own tribe, my own people and his own wife. Although it's all like hallucinations. But in this world, I finally have a sense of belonging to something. I took my wife by the hand, feeling her warmth and said, "From now on, while I'm not around, the novice tribe will be handed over to you." And the next moment, turning to everyone, I shouted at the top of my voice. From today on, Xiao Wang is the new queen of the tribe. After which, everyone started shouting. Hooray! Hooray! We have a queen. Kiss. Kiss. Everyone asked, and the queen and I looked at each other. While our lips were approaching each other, a huge girl King Kong looked at us and cried, apparently envious. "Even though I don't want the king to be taken away, it's so touching," she said with tears in her eyes. It was already night outside, the village spent the whole day in celebration until everyone started to disperse, saying, "Good night, Your Majesty. Good night, King." I continued to stand in place, right in front of the fire, closing my eyes and sighing. Everything went well, without surprises. Suddenly, Ayu appeared from behind and said, "Your Majesty, the queen is waiting for you at the palace, I won't bother you." Saying these words, her face expressed a prank. That's just my face continued to be serious, and I just threw a quiet one. Yeah. Then he laughed, looking forward to this night. Hahaha. In the palace. Waiting for me. And the next moment, my fantasy played out in earnest, and I saw the queen with a whip, who put her foot on me and spoke. "Feel my love, baby." And after that, she hit me with all her strength with a whip that I even felt this pain. Then, pulling himself together, he turned to the palace and began to walk to the door. "Maybe. It will be even more exciting," I declared. Opening the door, my face was playful and in the same tone I said, "Hahaha. Wife, I'm here." I saw the queen, who was sitting on the throne and looked obviously not ready for my fantasies. Damn. Her face was very serious and she just angrily sked. As I continued to look at her, I saw an oppressive aura around me. This atmosphere. Does she want to kill me? I thought. Finally, the first words fell from her lips. "I'm giving you a chance to tell yourself." I was full of misunderstanding. "Say what?" I asked. Suddenly she got up from the throne and walked towards me with a whip in her hands, but this time a smile appeared on her face. "Are you pretending you don't understand?" she asked, and I stuttered and asked. "It's our wedding night, can I be more gentle?" Looking at the whip in her hands, I immediately regretted my actions earlier. Damn. I shouldn't have given her the whip. Finally, the queen moved on to the topic and began to explain why she was angry. "Are you going to leave right after the ceremony is over? So in a hurry to get out of here?" she asked resentfully. Finally, I exhaled calmly. "So that's it?" I was already scared. "Hey, you got it wrong. Calm down first, I'll tell you everything." While I was telling, the rats were eating up the leftovers on the street, and the fire was already fading, and after the story, the girl asked, "So, are you going to convince the giants to join us in the battle with the mountain tribe?" "Yes, actually I'm not sure myself." So, just in case, I'll take 3 more with me. By the way, the real purpose of the trip should be kept secret. Although I don't know why, but Ayu and Xiong seem to be afraid of giants. Finally, during our conversation, the girl became kinder and after all my words, she asked, "Why don't I come with you?" But I immediately stopped this desire. No, one of us has to stay in the tribe. Besides, you have more important things to do. I said, holding in my hand an important device that will make our lives easier. What is this? She asked. This is a sling, now I'll show you how to use it. I said, pulling the device forward and starting to explain that the sling is a throwing military or hunting weapon. After that, I gave her a task. I need a squad of people who know how to use it, and you need to train them. The next morning, I and 3 other people from the village, namely, the boss of the Sea tribe, a gun and a girl, were walking towards the mountain with a giant. You have all the responsibility. I told them and the girl snorted angrily. This caught my attention and I turned in her direction. The girl's face was very angry. When she saw my look, she turned around, snickering angrily again. The next moment, a scene appeared in my head as she stabbed me with a knife, and in my head there were such thoughts. It's going so slow on purpose. She's not looking for an opportunity to kill me, is she? Hey, it can't be helped, it was Xiao Wang's idea after all. I thought, remembering our conversation with the queen last night. Xiao Wang was sitting on the throne, and I was massaging her legs, asking. You said you were barefoot, then why are your feet so tender? But the girl only answered viciously. Don't mock me. And then, seriously continued. Since your subordinates are unreliable, choose 3 from the Coconut Grove tribe and the Sea tribe to accompany you. I was planning to take Haihu. I personally saw his fighting power. The fortress on the beach will be temporarily transferred to the responsibility of Shigu. If I take Haihu with me, the newcomers from his tribe won't be able to create problems in my absence. I explained my plans to the queen, but was interrupted. The other 2 are up to you, but Ayan has to go with you. I was surprised by her persistence, but I didn't say anything, as the girl continued. This is not a request. Ayan is the strongest and bravest fighter, besides her wounds have already healed. If she goes with you, I'll be calm. Standing over me, she declared, while I was looking at her wonderful body. The next moment, she cupped my cheeks with her hands and continued. I taught her a lesson for what happened back then, so you don't have to worry. Thinking about this conversation with the queen, I continued to walk through the forest. Yes. I'm not worried at all. If there is a problem again, I hope a gun will save me. It was in my thoughts while the girl continued to drill me with her eyes. It seems to me that someone is watching us, maybe I imagined it? A gun said warily, but I didn't pay much attention to it. Yes, it just seemed. A gun decided for himself and went on, after us. As we walked, the girl continued to exude an aura of murder, and I was thinking on a gun's words. I do not think so. Look back, don't you think? Suddenly, the boss of the Sea tribe caught up with me to point ahead and say. King Chen Li, do you know that there is a lake ahead? Yes, Xiong told me about it. The boss laughed a lot when he heard my answer. Hahaha, then he probably saw that whopper. He said, slightly embarrassing me. Are you talking about the monster in the lake? Further, the fishman began to tell me about his acquaintance with him. Yes, about him. When I was a kid, I saw him swallow a leopard whole. I was too young then, so I was very scared. If I'm lucky, I'll definitely fight him. The boss uncorked a horn with water and started pouring it into his mouth, and I was confused and asked. Is it luck for you to meet a monster? It doesn't matter if it's a water monster or someone else. It would be interesting for me to face someone stronger than me. For example, with a giant. I said to check the reaction of my comrades. The reaction was not long in coming. A gun squeaked like a girl and screamed. No, your majesty, don't get your hopes up. I was immediately curious to see such a reaction. I just casually said. Do they really exist? Squatting down to catch up with a gun, I asked. Actually. See you soon. We were a large tribe that consisted of more than 30 people. And then one day. We met a giant. But they were too weak to fight back and eventually ran away. Unfortunately, most of the people were eaten. Even though I was a child then, I think none of the survivors, like me, will forget that terrible scene. He told the tragic story of a gun in detail, making him think. All right. No wonder Xiong and the others tremble every time they mention the giant. On the way to the lake, the boss of the Sea tribe stopped abruptly, pointing at the strange berries. Don't eat these fruits. As a child, I ate such, the consequences were very serious. He informed us and I was immediately interested. Coming closer to the bush, I took a closer look at the berries. Suddenly, the system issued a message determining what kind of berry. Croton. Herbaceous plant, bitter taste, poisonous. After reading it, I looked at the fishman and laughed, thinking. So you ate the croton. I think you had a good time then. By the way, the surrounding plants are not familiar to me in these places. I hope there won't be any surprises. I thought about it and decided not to risk saying. Scan everything. After my words, system windows with information started popping up near all the plants, and I started reading. Verbena. A family of primroses, has antipyretic and diuretic effects, improves blood circulation and eliminates stagnation. Burdock. The Rosacea family, stops bleeding, removes toxins and has an insecticidal effect. Wormwood. A family of compound flowers, stops bleeding, relieves fever and is an antihistamine. Honeysuckle. Honeysuckle family, relieves fever, antitussive agent, neutralizes the effect of poison. My eyes immediately became big and I was happy as a child, running from one plant to another. Oh my god, yes, it's a big garden of medicinal plants. Suddenly, I approached one of the plants that was still being identified and thought. It looks familiar. Really this? Millet. An annual herbaceous plant, a family of cereals. And the common people millet. The system gave out the information. There was no limit to my joy, and I screamed. Millet. I found cereals. Suddenly, my joy was interrupted by the system, showing me a new task. Side mission. Farming. Task. Plant more than one type of grain, grow and harvest them. Term. 180 days. Reward. Heritage plate 2. It looks like we can finally enter the era of farming, not bad, not bad. When we find the clay, we will be able to prepare food and medicine. Unfortunately, it hasn't matured yet. I'll wait a bit and come back to collect. Just now I felt a chill run down my spine. What? Is it not Ayan with his hostility? After I decided what to do with the wheat, I began to assess the situation around when suddenly a gun pointed his finger forward and said. There. What is it? I asked in a voice and looked forward to where the unusual bush was. After taking a closer look, I waited for the system notification and read the information. Rami. The nettle family, its tough fibers are used to make ropes, fabric and paper. He gave me a thumbs up and I praised a gun. You found a very good thing. When we come back, we will pick up a few so that our tribe can wear more diverse clothes. Listening to me, a gun did not feel proud, but on the contrary, he was even more afraid. Pointing his finger forward, he shouted. I wasn't talking about these strange herbs. Your Majesty, look there. I looked in the direction where a gun was pointing, into the distance, into the bushes and trees, and then I heard strange sounds. The next moment, a jackal came out of the bush, growling angrily. Several more animals appeared behind him, and the fishman immediately said. They must have been chasing us for a long time. And a gun finally confirmed his guess. I felt their gaze on me. I smiled calmly, taking my axe in my hands. Hyenas again? They probably came to take revenge on me and Haihu. The jackals looked as confident as possible and were already anticipating their victory in the subsequent feast. I put the axe forward and declared. In that case, we won't let them go. We need to fix the root problem. Kill them, I shouted to my people and everyone rushed at the animals. While the jackals also jumped on us. The boss of the sea tribe was the first to go into battle and caught two with two hands. This time you came by yourself. With blackness in his eyes, he growled. With all his strength, he hit the two hyenas at each other over their heads. The girl, with a bone knife in her hands, cut the hyena's thigh, leaving a deep wound. After that, I noticed two more hyenas flying at her from above. Preparing to repel their attack, she stood in a stance. But before she could do anything, hyenas flew into them, which were defeated by the boss of the sea tribe. Hahaha. That was cool. Said the big guy. Don't thank me. He smiled. The hyenas began to run away, whining and limping. Oh, what a pity, they're running away again. The fishman was upset. Catch up with them. This time we have to deal with them, don't let any escape. I commanded my people. The hyenas, hearing my words, began to turn around. Hahaha. You can't escape, you dogs. I rushed after the animals, and so quickly that my people were left far behind. Jumping over a lying tree, I was already on the tail of one of the hyenas. With 2 dexterity points, it's hard to catch up with them. It would be unwise to continue the chase. I thought. The next moment I heard a girl scream. What? I turned around. The girl was wrapped around the vines of a strange plant. "What the hell is this?" I shouted, assessing the situation. Suddenly, a system window appeared near a strange plant. Red royal flower. A large flowered species, the core and surface of the flower emit caustic mucus that can destroy the surrounding ecological environment. Actively catches and devours animals. Is it Rafflesia? I was surprised, continuing to think. And the things around him are humoral fluid? Saber-toothed tigers, huge bulls. Also Rafflesia. This is all different from my knowledge of the primitive world. The plant was already ready to devour the girl while she took out a knife to try to free herself, screaming. "Damn. Let me go." Suddenly, the vine knocked the knife out of her hands and flew into the mouth, if you can call it that, plants. Landing in the creature's mouth, he bit into the wall of the venturi. Suddenly I felt sick and I shouted, "Hey!" And the next moment I was all attention. "Damn!" I shouted, seeing the boss of the sea tribe and a gun standing behind the trees. "Hey! Why are you standing rooted to the spot? Save Ayan!" I shouted to them. "Your Majesty, it's not that we don't want to save her." A gun started and the next moment he started screaming furiously. And the fact that we were also captured by this thing. "Damn." I said and saw how the vine was already wrapped around my leg. But quickly orienting myself, with a clear blow of the axe, I split the vine, not allowing myself to be captured. "Don't be afraid, I'll save you," I shouted, rushing to free the girl in the first place. Her next words shocked me. "Leave me, save those two," she said while I was running towards her. Running closer, I saw that the vines released the girl and she began to fall. "Run away." Those were her last words. I only had time to shout her name, and the girl was already inside the plant. Only her cute legs stuck up. A huge number of vines flew in my direction. "Get out of here," I shouted and started chopping down this damn plant. At least Haihu and a gun should be saved. I thought and did not notice how two hyenas were flying at me from behind. They were already so close that I noticed them only when they started growling in my ear. Fortunately, the boss of the fishermen was strong enough to free his hand and throw two horns with water at them, which threw the hyenas away from me. Although, I don't think hyenas would cause me significant damage. "King Chen Li, stay away," said Haihu. "They set it up," he prompted, making me think. The hyenas were already gnawing at a gun and Haihu, while the former was talking. "King, you can escape, we will detain them. I'm not the one who throws his people." Cutting the way with an axe, I walked forward. These vines aren't too fast, so the hyenas took advantage of the speed advantage to lure us here. I didn't even have time to calmly exhale. The vines were trying more and more to grab me in a vice. Damn. It should have been noticed that there are only dead trees around, which means something is wrong. And? Dead wood? I clung to my words. It's worth the risk. There's nothing I can do in this situation. But I have a stone. I threw it into a tree with all my might. It doesn't matter if it's a dog or a flower. There's nothing that can't be fried. I said in my head and drew an axe on a pebble in the tree, causing a spark. Burn to the ground. Get out. Away. From here. The plant began to smoke from the inside. And after that, it spat out the girl Ayan, almost completely naked. "Are you okay? Can you move? Time is running out. Haihu and a gun are still in trouble, I have to help them." I asked the girl, and she calmly mumbled that everything was fine. "I'll give you clothes," I said and handed over my raincoat. The next moment, the four of us were already running while the deadwood was burning around us. "Let's run." "There. Faster." I was talking while shooting burning arrows from a bow. "Now you don't have to worry about hyenas nearby." "Excellent. There's water ahead. Push up, guys. Dive into the lake and we will be saved." I commanded all the time while we were running, but still one of the hyenas caught up with us and jumped towards Ayan, who was wearing my cloak. "Ayan. Watch out," I shouted, seeing that the hyena had already caught on my cloak on the girl. I quickly jumped in her direction to grab her hand. And we succeeded. I pulled her towards me while the cloak flew off and I already tried to unhook the jackal from him. We have started an unreal battle for this piece of clothing. Grabbing him tighter, I pulled him in my direction and together we tore him to shreds. At the same time, I fell to the ground on my back and the hyena was on top of me, trying to reach out with its fangs while my hand was under the hyena's throat. The girl watched what was happening and how I was fighting with the animal after I saved her. "Your Majesty." King Chen Li. Hengyu and Agong shouted, also watching me. I raised my other hand. Then he grabbed the hyena and answered the guys. Leave quickly before the fire gets here. I can handle it. He must have already weakened. We need to exhaust him before the fire spreads everywhere. Suddenly, a stick flew into the hyena's neck, piercing the animal's skin. The hyena just fell to the ground. You. I said, turning back. Ayan was sitting there, with a bow in her hands and breathing heavily. I saw a sign with an alert from the system flashed above it. Talent activated. Archery. Do you know how to use a bow? I asked. She stood up, leaning on the bow and answered. Yes, I watched you use it. That's how I learned. I twisted my ankle, and I have almost no strength left, so I won't be able to escape, leave soon. I got to my feet too, and took her hand. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? I asked and didn't wait for her answer. Hold on tight. We'll leave here together, hold on tight. I shouted and threw it on my back, running away from the fire. King Chen Li. Rather. There is no more time. A gun spoke while I was catching up with them. There was hell all around us, everything was burning, it was already hard to breathe. I also want to be carried on the back of the king, can I switch places with Ayan? A gun and Haihu asked. Do you want to get to the lake faster? I still have the strength to throw you right into it. The boss of the sea tribe answered him. Don't. I just casually said. I kept running, breathing hard. While running, the girl started a conversation. In fact, I was planning to take the opportunity to finish you off. You planned the attack of the Black Bulls, didn't you? She asked. Without stopping for a second, I answered the question with a question. Why do you think so? I knew you wouldn't admit it. The girl got angry and began to explain. I noticed that some of the bulls were injured. Our weapons are not able to cut through the hard bull skin, so who could harm them? Besides, your men fought the bulls very well, which increased my suspicions. But I knew my arguments wouldn't convince the queen, so I planned that attack without her permission. Chen Li, one move and you're finished. She put a knife under my throat and continued. Either leave me here, and then you won't have any problems in the future. I didn't even raise an eyebrow, continuing to run. We need to hurry, and we'll be safe. Then you will deal with me. The girl, reluctantly, answered. Good. From now on, I'll be watching you. If you betray the queen or the Coconut Grove tribe, then I will kill you. She warned me, but I was not afraid for a second. Well, if I treat you badly, punish me. You just took responsibility off yourself, right? Punish you? And that sounds good. She answered me while we were already a few meters from the lake. And after just a few minutes they plopped into the water. We are saved. The boss of the sea tribe emerged from the water. A little more and I would have burned. We got to the water in time. He continued, and everyone else had already surfaced, looking at the shore, on which there was a real hell. 2 of the 4 lost the ability to move. It is better to abandon the plan to find the giant. I thought. Take them to the place where a gun found Rami, rest there, and I will bring you medicines. I gave the order to the fisherman and received a positive response. The sun was shining brightly outside. A gun was applying ointment to his leg. Wow, King, I don't have any more pain. The guy was delighted, showing everyone his leg. Have a good rest, Haihu, and I will collect some Rami. I answered. The medicinal properties of these plants are excellent. I spoke to the fishman while we were rummaging in the bushes. What's that smell? Haihu asked in a panic. Why do I smell hyenas? Is it because of the recent fight with them that their smell remains on my body? He stood up abruptly, trying to figure out what was going on. I'm not sure. I answered, pushing aside the bushes. What? I exclaimed. Looking down, I saw 5 little hyenas that are not even able to open their eyes yet. Taking one of them in my arms, I said. So that's it? It looks like those hyenas didn't come here to take revenge on us, but to protect their cubs. They must have felt threatened. Did this trigger a new side mission? I asked myself a question when I saw how the system window with information opened. Find a baby hyena, activate a side mission. Tame a wild beast too. Task. Tame a hyena and make a hunting dog out of it. Deadline. Unlimited. Reward. Small treasure chest 1, hunting rifle 1. Accept? I accept the assignment. I answered, looking into the cute eyes of a little hyena. All right, let's move out. I said, already to my team. We moved further through the forest, while each carried on himself the amount of herbs that he could carry. Suddenly, an unrealistically loud howl sounded. It sounded for a very long time, even the ground shook. What's that sound? Comrades spoke. When the sound stopped, I asked. Not well, maybe not so lucky. Suddenly, a huge animal's muzzle appeared from behind a tree. The bear came out at us, ready to fight. "Things are bad," immediately said a gun. "It's a man-eating bear." I immediately took off the herbs and began to assess the situation. "He's going to attack us. We can't escape with 2 wounded. I'll distract him, and the 3 of you make a detour and return home." "But the king." Haihu and the girl tried to object, but I interrupted them. "Don't talk in vain. You're getting in the way. We only have 1 chance, do as I say." 135 Taking out an axe from my inventory, I immediately prepared for battle, but before that. "Haihu. The safety of these 2 is on you." I gave the task to the boss of the sea tribe, who replied. The next moment I threw myself at the bear, encouraging myself. "Come on." He was really scary. Claws the size of my head, red eyes and huge fangs. It seemed as if he had already defeated me with his aura alone, but there was no time for fear. Rather. "Here." He shouted to Hale, running away in the opposite direction from us, with the girl and a gun. The bear, of course, paid attention to them. After all, as it is, the food runs away, and he does not run after it, but he would not be able to do it. "Look here, a huge monster," I told him. And a second later he jumped high. Being just above his head, I raised the axe to strike. The bear squinted his eyes, as if with incomprehension. Then he threw me off with his paws, with a vertical blow from top to bottom, which caused me to fly back. King Chen Li. The boss of the sea tribe turned around in a panic. "Take these cubs and come back, and I will help the king," he said to the girl and the guy, passing the little hyenas. A gun tried to stop the fishman by saying. "No need. I have personally seen the strength of the king, this opponent is no match for him. But if we stay close to him, he won't be able to act freely. So we follow the order." It was obvious that it was difficult for Haihu to admit this, and he did not want to leave. But still I decided, and I saw only their retreating backs, so I breathed a sigh of relief. "Now," I said, looking at my axe. "I think his attention is focused on me." Starting to get up after the bear hit, I got ready for a fight. "Well, it remains to distract this fool, and the matter is in the hat." I went in his direction. Looking around the corner, I made sure that the bear was still standing in place. The next moment, I made the most stupid face and shouted. "Hey, come here." The bear did not wait and, like a bull on red, rushed in my direction with a sweeping blow. While we were fighting, my men were already far enough away, running further and further away. Suddenly, a shock wave went through the forest, which cut it in half. But the bear was still alive and continued to chase me. Hiding behind a tree, I began to think. A gun and the others must be safe by now, it's time to get rid of him. Forward. I had already prepared myself and started walking forward when I felt an evil intention behind me. I exclaimed and turned back as quickly as possible. But there was no time, the tiger had already jumped in my direction, and all I had to do was try to dodge. "Holy shit." I shouted, still leaving the trajectory of the enemy's attack. What a rat was hiding there. "Come out," I said, looking at the column of dust that rose after the creature landed. "Really this? My old friend?" I calmly asked a question, looking at the animal that was growling in my direction. "Meow?" Suddenly the tiger gave out, wondering, and I started talking. Damn it. That smart look in the burnt left eye. It's definitely him. But still the bear did not let us remember the old, jumping in our direction, breaking trees. "Clamped on both sides," I said, expecting an attack. "Now it doesn't matter if I put all my strength into speed or power. That won't be enough. Use the power of Pangu?" I was thinking what to do while I was pretending to be a victim, which made the animals calmly evaluate themselves. But if I use the power of Pangu, I will weaken for a long period of time. Who knows how many days I'll be in a coma. Even if I don't die here, the mountain people will seize the opportunity. The animals continued to quietly continue in my direction, growling angrily. First the tiger. And then the bear accelerated. And literally the next moment, they rushed at me from both sides, and all I managed to say was this. "Damn. I thought you wanted to fight among yourselves, but it turns out. Attack a defenseless person?" I stood in a fighting stance, ready to repel the attack. Suddenly, a message from the system flashed in front of my eyes. "I thought you wanted to fight among yourselves, but it turns out. Attack a defenseless person?" The system detected that the host was in an extremely dangerous position and automatically turned on the extreme escape mode. You will temporarily gain 20 dexterity points, strength points will be converted into physical form for 600 seconds. After the completion of the mode, 33% will be deducted from the 3 characteristics of the host. Rounding up. What? It's a feeling. I immediately felt like my legs and as if the weight became lighter. I was ready to take off. That's how I felt. And literally the next moment he really took off, which is why the bear and the tiger crashed into each other with their foreheads instead of catching me. Wow. I thought, landing lightly on my feet. Such a feeling of lightness and explosive speed. It's just unbelievable. I spoke, looking at the animals already from afar. But they apparently decided to unite against me, growling angrily and walking in my direction. Still want to kill me? Don't you want to fight each other? I shouted, really not understanding their actions. But the next moment he turned around in the other direction and started running with all the dope. Will you give chase together? I advise you not to go beyond the limits. I was talking. My speed was impressive and with every second I was coming off more and more. While running, a system window opened in front of me. Power. 0, temporarily. Physical form. 8, temporary. Dexterity. 22, temporary, reverse. Countdown. 325 seconds. I stopped to turn around and check the situation. Finally broke away from them. This extreme escape mode is awesome, but too expensive. While I was being chased, I ran to this place. I spoke, looking at the snow-covered mountain, understanding what could be waiting for me there. You can't waste the rest of your time. Why not go to the snowy mountain and find a giant? A few minutes later, I was already walking through huge snowdrifts. I ran so far in one breath. Fortunately, my body has become light, otherwise I would have been stuck in the snow. I spoke, making my way further and further, while the system showed that there were 142 seconds left until the end of the mode. Climb to the top. I exclaimed, seeing my finish. Suddenly my eyes widened. Standing at the top, I was in a stupor, talking. Really this? Looking down, I couldn't believe my eyes. After all, a natural giant was sleeping there, but most likely it was a yeti, and a dinosaur was standing next to him, like a dog on a leash. It can't be the giant from the legend. I thought.